Hi, I'm EllaAradia, and welcome to your Psychic Tarot Love Reading. This reading is for my Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius fire signs. The timestamps are below, where we'll be taking a deeper dive into your person's hidden feelings for you. This is a love reading, and it's for those of you who are already connected with someone, even if you are currently in no contact with your person. This will be a very specific message, so it may not resonate for all of you. If it feels right, then it's meant for you. Otherwise, you may want to check out the readings for your other placements. So Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. And before we jump in, a very big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoy this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then get notified when the next videos are up. So Aries, let's jump in. I always like to tune in first, Aries, before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I always like to see what the universe shows me. I'm seeing the word choice point. So I feel like you're coming up to, let's say, a fork in the road, where there is some kind of decision that needs to be made here. You know, that for me, it feels like something needs to progress to the next level. And I feel there are a lot of questions. There's a lack of clarity around where you stand with your person. You know, are you both on the same page? Where is this going? Because I feel like you're dealing with somebody who, I get the image of someone putting their foot on the brakes. I feel like you're dealing with someone who is kind of open, closed, they come forward, they pull back. And a lot of it, I feel, is the person that you're dealing with is trying to kind of have it so that it goes at their pace, because there's obviously some kind of commitment fear or insecurity here, and them kind of pulling back all the time. This might be someone who kind of just, you know, falls out of contact. You know, communication just kind of comes to a stop, and then they kind of, they come back forward again. It's something like that. It's some kind of like mixed signals kind of energy that I'm picking up on here. With your overall energies, we have the King of Cups. That's water energy. King of Cups is somebody who, you know, really has the ability to connect very deeply emotionally. And, you know, this is someone who can hold space for that. They can hold that safe container to, this is someone who I feel sees you. You know, they understand your feelings, your needs. You know, this is someone with a lot of empathy. But at the same time, you know, they do have that emotional mastery, and they're able to, you know, very much hold their center. Your person's view of you is the Knight of Pentacles. Their feelings towards you, the Five of Wands. Feels to me like somebody's getting attention, because, you know, Five of Wands is an energy of feeling like you have to compete for someone. And I'm not sure if that's you or the person that you're dealing with. Knight of Pentacles is a very slow-moving energy. You know, the Knights are always in pursuit of something, but the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight in the tarot. And to me, this always represents, you know, somebody who kind of knows what you want, but they're not stepping up, or it's not moving fast enough. And I'm not sure if, again, like, is this you or is this the person that you're dealing with here? Their intentions towards you, the Eight of Wands. And that's all about communication, incoming messages, you know, rapid messaging back and forth. If there has been any kind of blocking that's happened here, Eight of Wands usually represents somebody unblocking the other person, or, you know, or both of you. And there may have been some conflict. You know, this is all about competition, conflict. And again, I'm not sure which way around this is. Like, I feel more it's the person that you're dealing with, because I do feel you're dealing with someone who is going slower than you would like them to be going. I feel like they're putting the brakes on. You know, this is this Knight of Pentacles. Very, very slow movement. You know, there is some kind of movement forwards, but, you know, it just feels like it is, you know, way too slow than you're wanting. Because when I feel into your energies, you're wanting to move things to the next level here. You're wanting to, you know, have some kind of commitment here. However that looks for you, whether that's, you know, just putting a title on it, moving in together, whatever that is, you're needing you're needing things to kind of go to that next level. Your feelings towards your situation is the Knight of Cups. Feels like there's been some kind of conflict here. And I actually, you know, despite this energy of, you know, fighting, conflicts, arguments, feeling like you have to compete for love, compete for that person, you know, I actually do get quite a positive feeling. You know, the Eight of Wands is their intentions. So there is an intention, if you have been in no contact, of the person that you're dealing with reaching out, like they are wanting to reach out. And your feelings towards the situation is the Knight of Cups, an offer of love, perhaps an offer of some kind of new beginning, a new beginning in the connection. So there is still an openness here on your side. In the challenge, we have the Devil. And the Devil often represents toxic behaviors, patterns, something feeling, you know, unhealthy in some way. Sometimes obsessional energies. The hidden influence is the Six of Cups. I instantly feel here the person that you're dealing with may have had a past heartbreak, is what I'm feeling from this card. There may be an ex that they have not fully healed from. I see the word betrayal, a heartbreak, and I feel, you know, that is what is kind of holding them back from opening up their heart again to, you know, something more committed here. And again, I just keep feeling this thing, is this you, or is this the person that you're dealing with? So always remember, these can be kind of flipped either way. And because of, you know, whatever past wound this was, the Six of Cups is all about nostalgia, and it represents usually somebody coming back around from the past, or somebody that, you know, they may not be healed from. They may need to, you know, still kind of energetically disentangle from that person. And because they have not, you know, worked through that, they're not fully healed, you often get, you know, unhealthy kind of patterns of behavior that kind of come into, you know, any new connections. Because I do feel like you're dealing with someone here who is quite held back, and, you know, they keep putting the brakes on things. You know, there's definitely, you know, something about communication here. And the person that you're dealing with, you know, wanting to take it at their own pace. I feel you're still open to them with this Knight of Cups. And when I look at the King of Cups there, I feel this is the potential of what you see in this person. And just remember, the gender can be either. And you see what this could be. You see where this could go. But the challenge is opening up the heart, opening up to those deeper feelings, you know, being vulnerable enough to be seen in that way. And this is why we've got all these kind of energies of sabotage, toxic behaviors, pulling back, mixed signals, you know, all these kind of unhealthy patterns of, you know, that would be connected to this devil card here. But there's some kind of influence from the past here, and somebody that perhaps they have not, you know, fully gotten over yet. Your advice from the universe, the Eight of Pentacles. This is an energy of putting the work in, investing. You know, this is usually an energy of investing in something in order to, you know, receive something back from that. In your advice, the Nine of Wands, sorry, the outcome, the Nine of Wands. This might be a moment to, I feel, invest in yourself here. Because what I feel from this is, you know, and the Nine of Wands, yes, this is somebody that you have invested a lot in. You've put a lot into this. And you've been through a lot together. And, you know, now it's a moment, I feel, to maybe do a little bit of healing work. You know, this is the energy of someone who's been through a lot, but you're still there, you're still standing. And it's often a card of healing. And, you know, the Eight of Pentacles, putting the work in, mastery, self-mastery. And there may be a lesson here, I feel, Aries, around looking after your needs here. And staying true to what you truly want and deserve. And ultimately, the person that you're dealing with, you can't do that work for them. They have got to do that. And it may well be, even though you're still open to working it out, you do need some kind of, you know, real shift from the person that you're dealing with. And it may be a moment, I feel, to just take a little step back and really look at, I feel, perhaps why you have kind of stayed in this for so long. And is there an energy of settling for less? What is it in you that you perhaps need to have a deeper dive into, in terms of perhaps, you know, why you are having this experience here? And I don't see the outcome just yet. I do see the potential, but I also see the reality of the situation. And it feels like one of these situations where it maybe just needs a little bit more time, but it might be something to just take a little step back from and really look at, you know, what are you really learning from this? And what is this an invitation in you to really heal and resolve? Because just remember, you know, the people that we connect to, you know, they mirror the relationship that we are having with ourselves. So there might be something to just, yeah, have a little look at there. So let's get your person's hidden message. So the hidden message is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation. So Aries. My life is not as together as it seems. I look for you everywhere. I don't react when people mention you. I regret lying to you. It's time for me to heal now. So Aries, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on to Leo. Hi, Leo. So let me just do a couple more shuffles here. I always start tuning in already before the cards are ready. One more. Okay, Leo, let's jump in. So I always like to tune in before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I always like to see what the universe shows me. I feel like you're in a connection, Leo, where it feels like you're carrying this connection, and I feel like it's got to the point where it's almost putting out your light, putting out your fire, and, you know, really dampening your energy. With the overall energies, the Ace of Pentacles, your person's view of you, the Nine of Swords, their feelings towards you, the Empress, their intentions, the Tower. Something feels like it's really kind of breaking down, and on your side, Leo, I just feel like you're not feeling free to really just be who you are and really shine your light. I feel like there's something about this connection. It just feels like it's dragging you down to me. And sometimes, you know, the thing I'm feeling here, sometimes I think that one person grows quicker than the other one. And, you know, what started off as a connection you felt aligned with, I'm not sure it is anymore, because I feel that you, all of this time, you know, you have been growing, you've been working on yourself, you have been, I feel, very much on a bit of a journey of self-discovery and like really working on your patterns. And you've grown, you've evolved. But I feel like the person that you're dealing with is perhaps a little bit behind you. I feel like you're at different levels of emotional maturity, of, let's say, spirituality, self-awareness. And things are breaking down because, you know, the Tower always comes in to clear the way. You know, it brings about change, and it clears anything which is, you know, not really working, you're not in alignment with anymore. Anything that's built on false foundations or illusions. And it always clears the way for truth and something better. And it can be quite a challenging card. I mean, I feel that, you know, the person that you're dealing with, to me, they look a little bit stuck. I feel like they can sense your distance. They feel you leaving them behind, like energetically, even though you're still there, that there is this distance, you know, because you're not as aligned with each other as you were before, because you've got one person who has kind of grown and changed, you know, a little bit more quickly than the other one. And I do feel like this is someone here that's, you know, really quite anxious and worried and stuck in their thoughts about you right now. And with their feelings towards you, I do feel like they want to, you know, have some kind of new beginning here with you. To me, it's almost a sense of trying to get it back to the way things were and not really knowing, you know, how to do that anymore. That's the feeling I get from the person that you're with. And I do feel, you know, that this Tower is really causing them a lot of anxiety. And, you know, this This is their feelings towards you, the Empress. You know, it's a card, it's a very nurturing card. And it's all about, you know, rebirth, new beginnings, sometimes fertility as well. You know, the Empress is an energy that is, it's like the mother, and it's the energy of love and harmony and nurturing. Your feelings towards your person, the Five of Swords, conflict. So it feels a little bit to me like there's been some arguments and conflict going on. Harsh words have been spoken, perhaps. Maybe things have been said that, you know, weren't really meant. I do feel like you're dealing with someone, what I'm seeing here, they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to get back to, you know, that place of harmony, the way it was before when times were good. And I feel like you're dealing with someone who looks a little bit cornered to me. They feel stuck, they feel trapped, they don't know how to fix things. And so you've got someone that's lashing out, is what I'm seeing, saying things that they don't mean, saying hurtful words. And, you know, this is what I'm feeling may have happened here with this Five of Swords. This is a kind of conflict, and it's the kind of arguments where it's more about winning and being right. You know, it's a very ego-driven battle. And I always think it's when, you know, communication breaks down, you know, you're not having like healthy, honest communication. You know, sometimes, you know, that can be difficult for someone to, you know, really be real and have these very open, honest, truthful conversations. It can be quite a vulnerable place to be in, but I do feel like you do have someone here who does love you, and that's the feeling I get from this card here, Leo. They love you. They, you know, they don't know how to fix things, and there's been conflict and things have been said that weren't meant, hurtful things, I feel. And whenever I see this card, I always feel like, you know, there's a deeper message in this around reflection and choosing resolution over conflict. And I feel like it is to just trust what's unfolding here with this Tower, because it's happening for a reason, and it's happening because it is necessary, it's needed. And with the Tower, there's always an invitation. You know, when you come through the other side of that, the invitation is to put things back together in a better way. And so whatever is going on here, ultimately, if it's something that you choose, you know, you may choose to let things complete themselves here. It might feel like, you know, you've just kind of drifted too far apart here. But there is also an invitation for, you know, a whole new fresh start. And that could be together. You know, if that's what you choose, a new beginning. That's your overall energies, the Ace of Pentacles. In your challenge, the Hanged Man. And I'm not sure which way I'm doing that. I think some of my cards are like reversed here. I don't usually read reversed cards. They are. Okay, one moment. So, the Hanged Man. Seeing a new perspective, seeing a fresh perspective. That this is in the challenge, and this is why I'm feeling this strong energy of reflection here. It's about taking a step back and reflecting, and I feel letting the emotions of whatever conflict has gone down to die down, because it's not until those emotional triggers, that emotional energy calms down, that we can get into this place of reflecting. And when we can reflect, we're getting in touch with our true feelings. We're looking at our side, you know, how we have been showing up. That's you, that's your person also. And then conversation can happen, you know, honest, truthful, open conversation. In the chat, in the guidance, the hidden influence is the Three of Wands. I'm getting everything mixed up today. That's a card of growth and, you know, taking things to the next level here. It's all about moving out of your comfort zone. And, you know, this feels like a soulmate connection to me. And there's always a potential with these soulmate connections to have, you know, something powerful, something beautiful. The potential is always there, but it involves, you know, both parties stepping up to that. And sometimes you have one person that's kind of a bit closer to that, a bit more ready for that, and another person who is really facing perhaps some challenges and some blocks inside of themselves, because the invitation is about healing, moving out of your comfort zone, growth. And that leads you, you know, to that possibility that's out there. The possibility, you know, that's still there within your connection. So with your advice from the universe, the King of Wands, this is all about following your heart. And so, yeah, take a step back. You know, this is what needs to happen right now with the Hanged Man. Let go of the need to be right. Let everything calm down. Take a step back. And really connect into your heart. The King of Wands is somebody, and again, you know, the gender can be either. This is someone who follows their heart. They go after what they want. They don't wait for permission. They just move and pursue, you know, what their heart really wants. And that's the invitation I feel in this. Take a moment, take a breath, and just tune into your heart. And really just be very honest with the communication that you're feeling in your heart in terms of what you want to happen next. Don't rush in. You know, you're being asked to just take a step back, take your time, and really listen to what your heart truly wants here. So in the outcome, we have the Magician. This is a card of potential. I'm strongly feeling here that, you know, because my eyes kind of go back to that Ace of Pentacles again, that new beginning. And I really feel that whatever is going on right now, you know, however this tower is kind of manifesting in your relationship, you know, your relationship's hit a tower moment. That's what's going on here. And I feel this absolutely can be, you know, something that brings you closer together. But it involves, on both sides, being very honest, open, truthful, and not being afraid to, you know, really express that. And, you know, I do feel like you have someone who loves you here, so you can absolutely, I feel, kind of get past this. So let's get your person's hidden message for you. So this is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation. Leo. Okay. I couldn't let you get close to me. You speak to me through music. This might be someone that you send each other music tracks and it's like a communication. I think a lot of us do that. I like that. I'm grateful for the spiritual lesson. I left you before you could leave me. This is what I feel like. I feel like there's a little bit of a block or a barrier around kind of opening up, letting you know, letting your heart be seen. Sometimes I lay awake thinking about you. So Leo, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on. So Sagittarius. Let me just do a couple more shuffles here. I feel like all my cards are all mixed up today. for some reason. I don't typically read reverse cards. And for some reason, the deck has got all kind of mixed up and all the cards are all around different ways. So Sagittarius, let's jump in. Okay, so I always like to tune into the energies first, Sagittarius, before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I like to see what comes through, what the universe shows me. I feel like you're at a bit of a breaking point with somebody. And I'm feeling a very strong avoidant energy from someone. And I feel like it's the person that you're dealing with here. There's a lot of frustration on your side. I feel like there is like a string of issues that haven't been resolved. And of course, over time, that starts to be something, you know, that damages the connection because it starts to feel one-sided and it leaves you feeling unseen, unheard. You know, we have to be able to communicate with each other. Otherwise, you know, these things kind of remain unresolved and they stay there. That's what I'm feeling here. And I feel like you're dealing with someone who's got a little bit of an avoidant energy where, you know, every time there's an issue, I feel like they close off, they shut down. For some of you, they may even kind of disappear for a few days, like in terms of communication and stuff like that. And on your side, I feel like you're somebody that's just used to, let's just talk about it and we can resolve this, you know, 10 minutes and we can just resolve it. And so I'm seeing you kind of coming forward and trying to talk about things and just dealing with someone who is emotionally closed off and shut down. And I feel like it's got to the point where, I feel like it can't really go on much longer. And there's a lot of disappointment. I feel like that there's an energy of hurt that I'm picking up in you as well. There's a lot of disappointment. The overall energies, we have the Queen of Wands. Your person's view of you, this is what I mean about my cards all being round different ways today. Two of Swords. Their feelings towards you, the Ace of Wands. Their intentions, the Five of Cups. Your feelings towards your person, the Five of Wands. For me, this feels like an energy of feeling like you're having to compete for them. It feels like this might be someone who gets a lot of attention, perhaps. This might be somebody who entertains conversations with others, like almost like keeping doors open. Or they're prioritizing other people over you, something like that. And there is this feeling here of competing for their love, attention, for them to somehow honor the connection with you in some way is what I'm feeling here. And with their feelings towards you, the Two of Swords, sorry, their view of you, the Two of Swords. So, you know, there is a truth that they're avoiding here. As Two of Swords energy, it represents a person that is holding, let's say, two opposing beliefs to avoid feeling uncomfortable, avoiding a truth of some kind. And the truth I feel here is This is someone who is, emotionally unavailable. It may not have been safe for them growing up to express their feelings. Perhaps their feelings were not validated. And this is someone who has, I feel, had some kind of past hurt. There's a strong, physical connection here. Ace of Wands, this is fire energy, this is passion. And their intentions is the Five of Cups. That's regret, that's loss, that's sadness, that's looking back over the past at, what is lost. And it may well be that they are feeling you kind of starting to move on. They're feeling you starting to pull back. And there is this sense of loss. But at the same time, there's a truth, that they are not wanting to face here. Let's just look at what's in the challenge here. The challenge is the Page of Cups, a new offer of love, a new beginning in love. It also represents opening your heart, keeping your heart open. And that is what I feel their challenge is. There's a fear to open their heart, a fear to be hurt. And a very kind of closed off emotionally person, very avoidant energy, opening up the heart, expressing feelings, I feel, is something that is not safe for them. And that will come from their own past. And, of course, it's something I feel that they haven't fully healed. And so this might be someone who struggles to, really give you that further commitment. It may be someone that keeps options open. You may be, the primary relationship. But I feel like this is also someone that kind of entertains other conversations. They may not actually be physically cheating, but it feels like it's almost like keeping options open. Just in case, something doesn't work out with you. Because being with you, I feel, is a challenge. Because you are challenging them to grow. You are challenging them to move past whatever heartbreak or loss or hurt is in their past. And, on this card, that the two cups still standing really represent the blessings, of a situation. There's always something to be gained, from a certain experience. The three cups that are spilled represent, something that is lost. It can't be gotten back. It's like water that spills out. You can't put that back into the cups. But they're focused on the past. And that's why I see some kind of like energetic damage there on their heart, a past hurt, a past betrayal. But I feel like it goes back to childhood as well. And I feel like that's why you've got these avoidant kind of energies. So probably a very one-sided connection that you've been dealing with. It's very much about them, their terms, their needs, leaving you feeling kind of unseen, unacknowledged, unappreciated. Your needs are not being met here. And that's why it feels like, this is something that is kind of dragging you down here. In the hidden influence, we have the Six of Swords. So this is an energy of a transition. This is what you are kind of moving into right now. And the question is here, you know, is this a transition? Is this a journey that you make on your own? Is this a person that perhaps it's time to, you know, let go of, allow things to complete? But there are two people, you know, in that boat. And that also represents overcoming problems, obstacles, challenges, moving away from, you know, a difficult time towards calmer shores and a place of healing. Your advice from the universe, the Knight of Pentacles. This is all about, you know, not rushing ahead. You know, the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight in the tarot. And it's all about, you know, just putting one foot in front of the other, one step at a time. You know, it's a slow moving energy, but there is always progress. It's about showing up and just taking things one step at a time here. In your outcome, the Eight of Wands. So if this is someone that you have been in no contact with, you know, whatever this Five of Wands represents, it's usually, you know, represents conflict, arguments. It's not just about competition. You know, you may be in no contact right now. And, you know, this is also someone that is, you know, kind of feeling stuck. So if that is the case, you know, the Eight of Wands usually represents communication channels opening. It's a fast moving energy. It's a very unhindered energy. There are no obstacles. So, you know, often represents a kind of rapid back and forth communication. Where there is an invitation, there is an invitation to work through this. But you're dealing with someone here who I feel is really quite closed off. And yes, there's a lot of fire energy. We have the Ace of Wands, we have the Queen of Wands as your overall energies, which can also be an invitation for you here, Sagittarius, to really stay in your power here. You know, you are someone that is meant to be all that you can be. Shine your light, be in your power. You know, it's a very magnetic energy. And, you know, you want to be in a connection with somebody that celebrates you. And a connection where you're enhancing each other's lives, like you're both shining your lights, being all that you can be. What you don't want is to be in a connection that is one-sided and it starts to feel like it's dimming your light and you're feeling kind of like dragged down by it, held back. So there does need to be, I feel, some change from the person that you're dealing with. There has to be a willingness to really go to this wound that they do need to heal, because it's stopping them from, you know, letting love in, basically. It's keeping them safe. But, you know, that's also stopping the connection from really progressing here. But either way, I feel like there will be an opportunity here to have, you know, some kind of communication. And, you know, even if you can kind of get to that point where you have an honest conversation with the person that you're dealing with here, I feel for them, because they do have a very avoidant energy, that's going to be a big thing. So it's also about recognizing, you know, these moments where somebody does step up, that little upgrade. It might be small for you, but it might be big for them. So make sure you're recognizing, you know, if the person that you're dealing with here does actually make some kind of, you know, step up like that, because then you can work with that. When there's a willingness, you can work with it. So Sagittarius, I'm going to leave that there. Let's get your person's hidden message for you. So the hidden message is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation. I hid who I really am from you. I know I was a distraction from your pain. You speak to me through music. I'm grateful for the spiritual lesson. I left you before you could leave me. That's that kind of closed off protective energy that I've been feeling. So Sagittarius, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forward, always trust what feels right for you. So thanks so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.